Hey there. Welcome. We're back. I think I'm kind of back to normal on a Wednesday. I'm still getting used to my schedule and all that good stuff. So I'm back in the basement again. That's why it's a little grainy, is because it's a little dark in here, but I don't want to have backlighting for this either. So this is like my TV room. It's not super big. There's a bunch of like nerdy Tim Burton stuff up there, some movies here, little Game of Thrones figures right there. And here are like collectibles. There's like a section here dedicated to my dad. My dad passed away. It's been 11 years now. So there's some things my mom gave each of us kids of his things. So that's there. So kind of memorial things. Um, I'm sorry, that's this section over here has like my dad's hat. Sorry, I had to turn to look because it's really dark in there in the thing. So maybe I should take you on a tour. Oh, maybe that would be more interesting. I said mess in the description for this video, and if you're watching this live, I don't know if you'll see that or not, but because my basement's a little bit messy compared to normal. Now, for some of you, you might be like, no, actually, that's clean compared to my messy, but each person's different, right? Our level of mess is different. So this is the stuff for my dad. Up here is a winter hat that he used to wear. It's kind of furry. How do you? My dad used to wear this. My dad, his dad was Swedish and his mom was English. And my dad was born here in the United States and everything, but his grandparents immigrated over from Sweden in the late 1800s. So this I always thought of his like Swedish winter hat. And he would wear this, and he'd wear it much better than I do. But it has ear flaps in there, tucked away, that I could pull out, but I don't want to. This is a pen that my dad got for his years of service, 10 years, when he was with his last employer, which was ICRIMP, Idaho County's Risk Management Program. My dad worked his way up there. He only had his associate's degree, and all of his life experience and job experience really allowed him to move up. He definitely was a product of a different time when that could happen a lot more easier than it seems to happen today. This, my dad is kind of like me, loves to collect things. And I think all of us in my family, all of the siblings, all of my two sisters and my two brothers kind of have a little bit of that that we've inherited. So this is petrified wood. And this side's all shined up, and then the rest is all kind of like its natural wooden state. I don't really know where he got that from, but he was always getting stuff from places. This is what I got. We all got to pick like a piece of artwork or something that my dad had. That this was in his office at work for a long time, and it's a sculpture, and it looks super creepy, but there was something about it he loved, and I've always loved looking at it. It just kind of sits there like this, and then people can see what it is, and that it's a face. I think it's kind of cool. I also have one of his name placards and one of his hankies. My dad was old school, always dressed really nicely, in a suit and tie most days. And so he'd always carry a hanky in his coat pocket to use to wipe his nose. And my dad was also a little bit of a germaphobe. This is another one of his hats. It's just one of those like newsboy hats, and I just have it sitting on something to keep it up. But I just break this out every once in a while when I'm feeling like I need a piece of my dad for the day. And this one's all patchwork. But my dad was a dapper man, and he was he loved classical music. He loved, and so my house was filled with that. I didn't listen to a lot of popular music growing up because my dad listened to classical music, Broadway music, that type of stuff. He definitely a different generation. We listened to a little bit of jazz once in a while. Nat King Cole was my mom's favorite, so he'd listen to that. But most of the stuff my dad would listen to was either religious or instrumental, or it was Broadway musicals. So I was kind of raised with that. One of my favorites to watch with him as a kid was South Pacific. That musical, I just loved the music in it and the dancing, and that was one of my favorites to watch with him. So I was kind of raised with that stuff. I think he was excited when I decided to learn how to play the violin and was in orchestra for years and years and years because he loved classical music. And my mom played the piano and still plays the piano. She also plays the organ for her church. Sometimes I don't think she does it full time anymore, but she used to for years and years. Was the Sunday church organist, and so she still plays and practices. Her arthritis gives her some troubles now in her hands, but so I was raised in a house with some music. Um, my dad loved to listen to it. He's a connoisseur of it. My dad also loved to collect books. And my brother and I, my brother Dan, he's 11 years older than me, we both love to collect first edition books, really old books. The first time a book was printed, back when it was written. That's what a first edition is. And if we can find one with the dust jacket, that's the covering on it, even better. So he and I are always on the lookout for those types of things. And my dad would do that too. I don't know, I guess we just saw him doing it, but we both have this love for those original texts. It's like, no, this was printed back when this was first written. It's not a reprint. And so I'll show you that one of these other days because my first editions and my signed editions from authors are in another room in my house, up in my living room, which is kind of like my quiet room. This is more like the TV room. Those cases came from IKEA, so don't be thinking I'm have lots of money. IKEA curtains. Some of you may have those too. Today's shirt, of course, is Aliens, I Want to Believe. I am a big fan of the X-Files. If you've never watched the X-Files, that's one you should binge watch. It's a little cringy, cheesy. I mean, some of it hasn't aged well, but I think the characters and the stories are fantastic. And if you're into the supernatural, as far as more believable supernatural, they have like two types of episodes on that show. One that's more about like creatures. You'll come across some episodes where these two FBI agents, those are your main characters. I'm doing a really horrible job explaining this. There are two main characters, Fox Mulder and Dana Scully, and they're partners on the FBI. And they're working on the X-Files, which are all these like mysterious, unsolved phenomenon. And so on the one hand, they'll investigate things that involve kind of creatures of the night and bizarre genetic mutations and all that stuff. And they're trying to discover what's really going on. And on the other side is like the government conspiracy and aliens and all that type of stuff. And they start to meld together. And there's like one long running storyline, but at each episode is kind of them discovering new things. But those are the two main types of episodes they have. So if you've never watched the X-Files and you're into like that type of stuff, I highly recommend it. I think it had like 10 seasons, something like that, and some movies. So pretty big deal, pop cultural icon. So that's one of my favorites. Let's see, what's the mess? I talked about the mess. The mess is I have an ironing board out. I don't normally have that out. I have it out because I was trying to make some masks, and so I'm still working on that. So I haven't put that away yet because I don't know if I'll need it for the last stages. I also have a puzzle over there. I also have my drink, my tea that I'm going to show you in a minute. And what else? I also have a puzzle that my daughter got out that she's been working on. And I've got a lazy dog. Darcy. There he is. He's a big dog. He was in one of my other videos where I popped by for a cameo. And anyway, he's big. People are surprised. They sometimes see pictures and think he's like this little tiny lap dog. No, he comes up to my waist when his head does. Well, not my waist. I guess my hip. I can like stand there and I don't have to reach down to pet his head. So he's pretty big. I got a package in the mail today. So that made me really happy, really ecstatic. I hope you guys are having little moments of joy like that. This one came from one of my really good friends, Anna. And she was an English teacher with me at my previous school in Idaho, and she's now a vice principal. And she's also part of this amazing writing group I'm in. She actually kind of made them adopt me years ago. And so it's a group of women who love to write, but we're also really close and stay in contact and are good friends. So anyway, Anna was supposed to come up for Emerald City Comic Con this year. She hadn't been back for it here in Seattle since I think 4 years ago. I've gone since then with my daughter, but she hadn't been here for that. So she was going to fly out, and then it got canceled and rescheduled for August, which she can't come to because as a vice principal, she has to get her school up and running for next school year. So she can't come, which is sad because we had all these photo ops we bought. We got a hotel room booked. We were really going out and doing this fun girls thing, just the two of us. So that was disappointing. And we were both dealing with that and realizing we'd have to wait till another year, which whatever, that's what you do, right? Everything in life is getting pushed aside. So I got a package in the mail today because she'd been saying, oh, I have your birthday present. I was going to bring it when I came out for Emerald City Comic Con because the Comic Con is supposed to be a couple weeks after my birthday. So in this package, and that's what I have my tea in today, is this awesome mug. First of all, look how cool it is. This is like an unglazed area down here. And then this is all like speckled. And it has a quote from one of my favorites, which is Alice in Wonderland. And it looks like it's in typewriter font, which is another one of my favorites. If you don't know anything about me, I also like to mess around with typewriters. And I have one typewriter here at home and one at school. You've probably seen my old one from 1917. So this says, this is going to be my quote of the day, by the way. This is your literature lesson for the day. You're entirely bonkers. But I'll tell you a secret. All the best people are. Bonkers means you're kind of crazy. And it's that idea that, you know, those that are kind of normal are really not that interesting to me. All the best people are kind of a little crazy in their own way, kind of a little bonkers. And that's okay. And that's one reason I love Alice in Wonderland. It has little messages like that about being different and not going with the norm. There's my son coming in from the garage. Hi, Isaac. Say hi.
Hi.
Are you done with your Zoom with your teacher?
Yeah.
Okay. Now he's wrestling the dog, hugging the dog. All right. I'm going to stay on my video, so you go upstairs.
Okay.
Okay, go upstairs. I'm on my video live. So that's my tea mug that's new. What else do I have for you? My special guest for today, I said on the thing, there's a special guest. My special guest is living and breathing, but is not a person. It's this. Has Mrs. Thomas gone bonkers? Maybe. This is my sourdough start. This is yeast. It's a living creature. I have to feed it every day right now because right now it's building up all the yeasty goodness and bubbles, and it's fermenting and going through that process. So I'm doing this because yeast at the grocery store, if you haven't paid attention, for those that like to bake, the stores have been out of it for weeks now. Once in a while, I'll see some there, but I'm almost out of my regular yeast. I mean, I have one little more jar left, but if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I bake several times a week. Like I'll do a cake or breads. I really love breads. Breads are one of my favorites now. And that takes a lot of yeast. So to do breads, you can use other leaveners like baking soda. I just combined words. I do that all the time. Baking soda and baking powder for things like cookies and cakes, but breads specifically need the yeast leavening. So I started a sourdough start, which means you feed it and then you use part of it in your recipe and you leave the rest to create more. And all you do once you get it started is you keep adding flour and water to it in portions, and we'll keep feeding it and growing. If it gets this little layer up here, I have like a layer of separation here, which could be hooch, which hooch is the stinky stuff you don't want. It means it's starting to go bad and you need to feed it. So I have to feed it today, and I have to like get that off the surface. And then I have to take out half of the ingredients here, half of the volume, and throw that out and feed it, and it'll be fine. So that's normal. So that's my special guest, is my yeast. That's really weird. I know. Remember, it's just serendipity when my friend sends me a mug about being bonkers, and then I share my yeast Same with you. It's better than what Gwyneth Paltrow is doing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go search Gwyneth Paltrow yeast. No, don't do that. Actually, don't. Do yourself a favor. Don't Google that. That was me trying to be funny, and then I realized it's really gross. She's making a whole line of stuff using yeast. Okay. That's all I'm going to say about that. What else do I have for you? I'm going to start doing some more tutorials for AP again. I was kind of down and out, and I was like, whatever, kids can do the ones online. Why am I going to create stuff if they're not doing anything? So I've kind of been in that mood lately, is feeling like, am I going to go and do extra if no one's going to even look at it or do it? So I think I'm almost out of that funk and getting more motivated. The district's working on phase 4, which I think is the phase that will take us to the end of the school year. I'm anticipating, and we're supposed to know more by the end of this week, I think, maybe next. They have to do a negotiation with the teachers union to make sure that what they plan to do is fair and equitable for us, you know, and doable and reasonable. As far as grading and requiring you guys to do work, it also requires the teachers to do certain things. So we're waiting to hear on that. So we've been trained on Microsoft Teams, which is kind of like Canvas in a way, but it also has like online chats you can do, like video conferencing. So that's kind of cool. So anyway, we're waiting to hear on that still. So that's kind of been up in the air. I know some teachers have been doing a lot more supplemental stuff. For me, I previewed yesterday. If you didn't watch yesterday's video, it was really boring because I was just like doing screenshotting of where to find the district resources, but go there and look at it. For my 10th graders, I sent you guys an email with some screenshots of how to participate in our classroom discussion on Canvas. Please, please, please look at that, read it, follow the instructions before you email me. I have a few people this morning that emailed me, and it was pretty obvious they did not look at those instructions. Or, I mean, I don't know how you could misread those because there were screenshots. I took pictures of my computer screen, put little arrows on, like, click here, do this, okay? I'm not trying to make it hard. I'm trying to make it easier. So make sure you look at those instructions. And then if it's still confusing, email me with questions to clarify. But I think it's pretty clear if you read it and look at it. It shouldn't be that hard. So that's that. AP, I think I'm going to start making some rhetorical analysis videos, like actually walk you through one prompt. I'm also unlocking some more stuff on AP Classroom. So I'll be doing that here in a minute. I didn't do it already because my son was using my other computer for his classroom chat thing. So make sure you look out for that. I might also do a tutorial with English 10. So my 10th graders, you guys, I'll probably do a tutorial video about how to access Actively Learn and read one of those Great of Mice and Men resources that they had in there from the district, because I think that's the one thing on there I thought was interesting that you could definitely do as a supplemental. It's not new skills you really have to do, but practicing old ones, and it ties to Of Mice and Men, which we studied earlier this year. So for me, that makes a lot of sense to look at. So I'll be doing a tutorial on that sometime this week. All right, so SAT word of the day I haven't done in a while, and I don't have it on a piece of paper for you like I did at the beginning of these videos when I first started filming them. So what word do I want? Let's see. Let's go down to, I just have a list I found online. That's what I use. Work smarter, not harder. And I'll try to find an interesting one. Surly. Ooh, surly I really like. S-U-R-L-Y, surly. This is an adjective. You would use it to describe somebody or their demeanor. It means unfriendly or inclined to anger. So if you know of a character that tends to be inclined to anger, like they seem to just always be angry. They always have a chip on their shoulder. I think of, like, all of you should know Of Mice and Men, I think, from last year or this year, 10th graders and 11th graders. So when I think of Curly, it rhymes with surly. He is surly. He is always like looking for a fight, We use the word because in the book, Steinbeck used the word pugnacious. Remember, I talked about, if you had me for class, I talk about the word pugnacious. And one way I remember it is I think of a pug, the dog, pug, and how aggressive they can be. Like when they come charging at you, barking. Like my friend who raises pugs, hers are like that. It's just their temperament. And it's like people have temperaments too, it seems sometimes. So when I think of Surly, I think of that. But now with Curly, I think Surly's even better. So their example sentence is, the bartender was a surly fellow who wasn't afraid to start a fight. Now that's a sentence where they're like using information in the sentence to define it. We wouldn't normally write that way. We wouldn't go ahead and define the word for you because we just used a word. So I could say something like, when Curly walked into the bunkhouse, his surly swagger frightened Lenny. Yeah, I could say something like that. And then if you know what the word surly means, you'd be like, oh, yeah. And it's frightening someone. So it must be a negative. It must be a scary, aggressive demeanor that he has. So that's your SAT word of the day, surly. By the way, I got this from a blog on Prep Scholar. So I just Google searched SAT words. They don't really do a lot of SAT word focus like they used to, vocabulary. But I think it's still good. It's still a good list of words to practice, or go learn a new word a day, and that's fine. We usually learn words better by reading a lot and coming across new words naturally in what we read, and also through speaking. And that's why talking with other people with different levels of education is really important, and different backgrounds, because you're going to build your vocabulary naturally. That's why kids who have parents who read at home or read to them or even talk in academic language tend to do better in school. It's because they have more vocabulary. They've soaked into those brains that they have that just seem to soak up everything. I heard an interesting story about a kid who went into kindergarten knowing how to read, and it wasn't because his parents taught him. The way he learned how to read was because at home, they always had the subtitles on. And so he went to kindergarten knowing how to read because he figured it out from always watching TV and seeing the subtitles. Little tip of the day. Maybe that would help you. Although subtitles, it's hit or miss on if they're actually correct sometimes, right? We know how that is. All right. So last thing for today is the 14,000 things to be happy about. I will flip to something random. I will talk about it or not, or I'll just criticize it because sometimes that's what I do. Shout out to some of the people who've emailed me. A few people in AP emailed me their missing assignments today, so that was awesome. There's a few 10th graders who've also emailed me with questions about discussions. Just make sure you're checking those and go to Canvas. I'll keep saying that. Go to Canvas, go to Canvas, go to Canvas. I want one place for you to go check things and do things. That's my goal because I want to keep it simple. If there's a website I want you to go to, I will try to put the link in Canvas so that you know where to go. You don't have to go check your email to find that link. Just go to Canvas. All right. Let's see. Exploring neighborhoods in places you might want to live. That's how you get arrested or shot sometimes. So, I don't know about that one. I'm joking. It's nice to have dreams, goals you have, and to think about it. And I think it's human nature to look at what other people have that you can see and say, that's where I want to be. That's who I want to be. What's sad is that some people are held back from having that by themselves or by others. So let me try another one because that made me sad and depressed a little bit. Why do I do this all the time? Why does it always become negative? This is supposed to be happiness. I think there's something bonkers going on. All right. Let's go. I'm randomly moving my finger. Okay, here we go. A luxurious hotel bathroom with jacuzzi, twin shower heads, and bathrobes as soft and enveloping as comforters. Oh, yes. Okay, there we go. That's my kind of thing. A little bit of luxury. If you've never been at a hotel with a nice soaker tub with the jacuzzi jets, you treat yourself at some point in your life to that when you have a moment, hopefully with somebody you care about. And stay away from everybody, stay away from all the distractions, and then just enjoy a nice bath with a really nice shower. My husband and I went to a hotel. What were we doing? We were going to a concert. And so we got a hotel room so we could just go there after the concert and crash. And they had a really nice shower that had just the whole body spray. Like, in my life, I'd never had such luxury. Now I'm like, how do I get one of these for my house? Because the one I have is like, I have to use it to also help wash the dog. How do I get one of those? And who has those already? Don't say anything. You don't want me judging you. I won't. I'm joking. All right. So that's it for today. I had my tea, checked all my emails. I replied to everybody that emailed me. I've done my video. I got my kid to write his report about the T-Rex. That was like pulling teeth. My daughter's doing her AP Langen-Comp timed right practice stuff where she had to read a prompt and analyze the beginning and the end of it. So life's good. My husband's sitting through the torturous training of Microsoft Teams. They had two options. And here's the life lesson for you guys before I leave. If you are tech savvy, meaning you're not an idiot. Okay, you're not. Okay, that wasn't very nice, Mrs. Thomas. Okay. If you know how to function on a computer, if your employer, your boss, gives you the option of either sitting through training with a trainer on your computer or doing self-paced training, always pick the self-paced. The people sitting through the training, all the teachers in the district sitting through this training this week that chose to do the actual class, apparently it takes 15 minutes just to get people to turn off their cameras and their microphones so they can get started. I'm not even exaggerating. I was done with my training within less than an hour because I'm not an idiot. I did the self-paced one. I just went and clicked, watched the videos, took the quizzes, boom, I was done. My husband's still on his. It's been an hour and 48 minutes. I'm still listening to it. So the lesson is only go to the one with the trainer if you feel like I have no clue what I'm doing. Like I really need to be walked through everything. I know I would get annoyed with having to sit and listen to annoying questions and people delaying the training getting done. It's like I'm that kid in class who would get annoyed when there's some kid that raises their hand with the question that the teacher's already answered 5 times. I know some of you are that kid and some of you are like me who would be annoyed with that kid. I'm just talking about when I was in school. Anyway, that's it. That's all I have for today. Stay safe, keep your brain occupied, go on Canvas, find some stuff to do it. AP Kids, rhetorical analysis. You got to be doing it. I have a really cool link to rhetorical analysis of 2 speeches, one by Donald Trump. It analyzes how Donald Trump speaks in his speeches, and another one that analyzes Bernie Sanders and how he speaks in his speeches and actually gets into comparison between the two and how they actually have something in common in the way that they speak to the American public. So AP Kids, check that out. I think it's really cool. You don't have to do the chart I put on there. That was kind of a preemptive thing I did. Like if you're bored and you want to analyze it, but even just watching those videos, I think are really interesting just to see how they use language and how they write sentences. It makes you understand that these guys aren't idiots. They may seem like it sometimes, but some things are very intentional and very smart, very clever. Politicians have a lot of people who work with them, and they work on an image and they work on how to word things. And so go watch those videos. I really encourage it. It's pretty eye-opening if you've never really thought about it objectively. So see you tomorrow. I'll have something new. Bye, guys.